A boating accident, fraud, and then a heinous double murder. What happened to Mallory Beach is shrouded in conspiracy. Here's why her parents believe that a powerful family tried to cover it up. On February 23, 2019, Mallory Beach, her boyfriend Anthony Cook, Paul Murdaugh, and other friends went out for a fun night in South Carolina. CBS News describes the then 19-year-old Beach as an ambitious young woman with big dreams. According to Vox, the group spent the majority of the night partying. Despite being underage, Paul purchased alcohol before the teens went to an oyster roast. They, however, did not drive to the gathering. They took his father's boat. Paul was the son of Alec Murdaugh, a well-known attorney in Hampton County, South Carolina. In fact, the Murdaugh family had deep ties to Hampton County's legal system. 3 generations were elected prosecutors.
One time, the Murdaugh family, one of the most powerful and influential families here in South Carolina.
Attorney Ronnie Richter explained to Live 5 News, "They are benevolent kings in Hampton County. They do wonderful things for the community. They're loved. But they're also feared because they are the law. And as a king, even as a benevolent king, they have the power to smite you." The group of 5, consisting of Mallory Beach, Anthony Cook, Paul Murdaugh, Morgan Dowdy, Connor Cook, and Miley Altman, left the oyster roast at midnight. Although they had been out for hours, Paul did not want the night to end and drove the boat to Beaufort, South Carolina. Using fake IDs, Paul and another boy headed to a bar while the rest of the group stayed behind. ABC7 New York writes that they both had 2 shots before returning to their friends and the boat. By all accounts, Paul was allegedly highly intoxicated at this point and acting brash. Nevertheless, Vox notes that Paul made it clear that he was to drive the boat home. CBS News reports that they left the dock at 1:15 a.m. Soon after, Paul became increasingly hostile and aggressive. He argued with his then-girlfriend Morgan and drove the boat erratically. Morgan later revealed that Beach said she was frightened by the ordeal. Suddenly, Paul increased the boat's speed and crashed into the Archers Creek Bridge. Paul, Anthony, and Beach all ended up in the water. Beach never emerged. ABC7 New York reports that Connor Cook called 911 as the frantic young passengers searched for Mallory Beach to no avail.
We're in a boat crash on Archers Creek. We have someone missing.
When the police arrived, they noted that Anthony Cook was enraged at Paul Murdaugh. CBS News states that Anthony told an officer on the scene that Paul had been driving the now wrecked boat at the time of the crash. They tested Paul's blood and found it was 3 times over the legal limit. A nurse described him as, quote, "the most intoxicated and uncooperative of those involved." CBS News writes that the search for Beach involved divers and helicopters. It ended with the discovery of her body 8 days later on March 3, 2019. She had drowned and suffered blunt force trauma. Tragically, this was only the beginning of the Beach family's sorrows. ABC7 New York writes that Paul Murdaugh's father, Alec Murdaugh, and his grandfather, Randolph Murdaugh, thwarted the authorities' efforts to speak to him in the hospital after the crash. According to Vox, Alec reportedly discouraged the rest of the group from naming Paul as the driver of the boat to ensure his son's name was cleared. According to ABC New York, Renee Beach, Mallory Beach's mother, decided to sue Alec, Paul's older brother Buster Murdaugh, and the convenience store that sold Paul alcohol. Paul had used his brother's ID to make the purchase. Renee cited fear of a cover-up by the Murdaughs as her reasoning for the lawsuit. However, all parties involved denied any wrongdoing. Despite this, Paul faced 3 felony counts of boating under the influence in April 2019. He pleaded not guilty to the charges. Paul Murdaugh awaited trial as a free man for over 2 years, but the young defendant never got his day in court. On June 7, 2021, Paul, then 22, and his mother Maggie Murdaugh were shot to death at Moselle, a Murdaugh-owned property in Islandton, South Carolina. Vox notes that Alec Murdaugh called 911 after he found his wife and son's bodies. Although the authorities were suspicious of Alec, they did not arrest him at this point in time. However, by early September that year, shocking details emerged about Alec. The law firm he worked at alleged that he had mishandled his clients' funds.
You have mail fraud, you have wire fraud, you have bank fraud.
Moreover, Alec reportedly attempted to have a friend shoot and kill him to ensure his son Buster Murdaugh would get his life insurance policy. This plan did not work out. Alec survived and confessed to the arrangement. Alec then revealed that he was addicted to opioids and subsequently went to rehab. Shortly thereafter, he was arrested for fraud. According to NPR, Alec allegedly embezzled funds from the estate of Gloria Satterfield. Vox explains that Satterfield was Murdaugh's housekeeper who died at Moselle in 2018. By May 2022, Alec was facing 79 charges for forgery and more.
There's just no bounds of decency to this man.
The New York Times states that Alec was charged with Paul and Maggie's murder in July 2022. Prosecutors believe that he may have killed his wife and son to prevent his financial crimes from coming to light. Upon Paul Murdaugh's death, all charges related to Mallory Beach's death were dropped. Despite this, Beach's family is confident that Paul was behind the wheel the night of the boat crash. Likewise, they were distressed by his murder. Beach's father, Philip Beach, explained, "We've heard that statement that you finally got justice. This is not justice for us. These people were brutally murdered and he did not deserve it. Neither did his mama." ABC News 4 reported that the Beach family settled a lawsuit with Buster Murdaugh and the estate of Maggie Murdaugh for an undisclosed amount in January 2023. This news came a year after the Beach family decided to file a $50 million claim on top of their other lawsuits regarding Beach's death. However, at the time of this publication, the family has yet to settle with Alec Murdaugh and the convenience store that sold the then underage Paul alcohol. The Greenville News writes that Beach's family is keeping her memory alive with Mal's Pals, a charity founded to build an animal shelter in Hampton County, South Carolina. CNN states that Alec Murdaugh pleaded not guilty to murdering his wife and son. His murder trial began in January 2023.